these Q&As I know can be like a little rigid and formal, so I just wanted to everyone here's known each other for a very long time, and so we wanted to start at the very beginning. When were you born out?
1990.
Damn.
Yeah. No spring chick.
Yeah. Well, I met Alex when he was just starting to write in LA, and I know prior, you had just kind of written your first movie actually, which was pre-Lurker, and you're getting representation and all that. I know you and Zach had been already working together and knowing each other for some time. You'd been writing comedy and sketches. Can you talk about like that dynamic between you two and how that's kind of grown and evolved as back then compared to making Lurker now?
Looking back, I feel like we weren't doing all that much.
We were kind of just hanging out.
We were hanging out a lot. I would say an inflection point for me is when we made that sketch show.
Mm-hmm.
We made the now defunct Viceland cable channel gave us $30,000 to make
to develop pilot.
To make a pilot that they didn't order. I think they were actually this whole company is not gonna happen.
I think we helped them realize that.
Yeah,
by what we made.
All right, let's call it. But actually, we were both in it. We had no budget, so we both had to be in it. And I think I just really liked the writing part of it. And I think something about them not making the show really inspired me to go harder. Right. I was like, that can't be it.
Yeah.
That can't be it. And then we both kind of ended up in LA around 2017, I think, from sort of bumming around Atlanta and New York. And I guess, yeah, there's sort of a longer version of the story that in a way is like this movie.
Yeah.
Where now the two of us are stuck together forever.
Well, during that, you didn't set Lurker in the present day, and that feels...
Right, dude, I saw a review today that was this music is it's not, this sounds like it came out in the 2010s. Yeah, it takes place in 2018, but they're using an aux cord. They're everything is meticulously iPhone 5. Whatever, it was some bullshit website. But I look at everything, it's horrible.
But that period of time when you and Zach just come to LA, you both were sort of in the music world. I feel like this movie's so well observed, all the little details, not only about, what...
We're starting. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Expecting you to navigate Century City. I'm sorry. You're from Quebec. It's fine. Just flew in.
But yeah, this movie's so well observed, and clearly that period of time, were you sort of feeling a lot of these emotions and were you just jotting it down, knowing that this would all come out someday, or was this just all sort of building and all this all these observations you couldn't express elsewhere? Was it kind of all out now?
I think the second thing, I think it was building. It was the way that I end up writing screenplays is because I don't know how to talk about whatever I'm thinking about. I don't know how to articulate it in prose or out loud, so I'll just start writing scenes, and then it sort of comes out of that, how I'm feeling in that era is encapsulated by what the screenplay is. And it's nice now to hear people talk about this movie because I'm yeah, that was what I was feeling,
And back then too, I feel having known you for some time, your writing has evolved a lot since then, and so much of a movie is all about tone, and this movie has an incredible tone. It is so funny, you're laughing at character-driven moments, but then it feels like all the humor is so grounded. I guess like, you know, how did you sort of find that tone over the years? And I mean, Zach, you too, like, you know, you've done kind of like bigger sketch comedy, you've done you know, obviously in your music, all your tone's been evolving in that world too. How have you guys kind of like arrived here, where does this feel like the tone you've been chasing like for a while now, or is it something you discovered along the way?
I think for me, it was, obviously a movie like this could be extremely corny. And I was really, I was just willing for it to be that if it came down to it. But tonally, I think I don't know, I'm not able to write anything that doesn't have some like comedic edge to it. And I'm not able to write anything that isn't sort of darkly cynical, I don't think. So this was kind of, I wrote this at the beginning of my career, and it was really about me finding what my voice was like and what the tone was, because as you know, writing TV or playing supporting roles in writing TV, a lot of that is like seeing how you can serve someone else's voice, you know? So I think I was very curious about like, do I have one of my own here, you know?
And kind of talk us through, all three of you, like the once you got the script, you know, like how much of it did you deconstruct in rehearsal? How much was there room for improv and finding different beats as you were on the day? Like, you know, walk us through. I feel like once you got the script, like, did you just get it immediately, or did it take some time with you and Alex kind of sitting down to sort of like, you know, like polish out some of the beats and the tone things?
Well, I'm sure it took me a lot of time to fully grasp, you know, the full depth of the script. But I think that what's always there with like great writing, which is rare, is that once you read it for the first time and you feel like you get it. It's like when you read a great book and you're like, the images are coming and your heart is beating at the rhythm of the story, and that's what it was like the first time reading the script. So then after there's a lot of work and analysis into kind of getting ready or preparing to play it, but great writing is very exciting in that way, that you feel like you're given access to something and it feels like it's there.
Well, you know, I don't want, this is an assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't get the sense that you're someone that is deeply familiar with the 2010s hype beast Fairfax world.
This dude?
Dude, yo, first of all, he learned English like 5 years ago.
10 years ago.
Well,
That world's pretty alien.
what did you guys do to sort of like immerse yourself or did you even have to do that because it's so character based that you were just leaning more into the psychology? Like, was there anything like, did you guys go to
We
like?
made him listen to so much Race Remember.
Knows every
We
word.
locked in the closet. What did we do? I showed you some YouTube videos.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of YouTube videos of like rappers and musicians and the people around them.
Yeah.
And we did shoot a teaser in LA, and so we spent like a year before we shot the film. And you took me to parties and stuff and gave me a camcorder and asked me to film people in a very creepy way.
Yes, and no one said anything. Right? We fully had him at parties just like with the camcorder, and no one's like, hey, can you not do that? It's just so ingrained into like the LA.
Yeah.
Insane.
Was someone else with a camcorder as well?
Yeah.
Filming me. Yeah.
Zach, you're very familiar with this world. Like, were there things that you found like a little like, you know, like so much of getting into character and your performance is so grounded and real, by the way. I just absolutely love every moment you're on screen. There is an uncomfortability because you're almost like, you know, opening up your chest and being like, this is actually who I really am, because there's some part of you in that character. Was there a little bit of adjustment, like having to like go back into that world, that time, and like draw things out of you that you were trying to like ignore a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really hard. It can feel a little bit.
We're still in it.
Yeah,
We've heard
yeah.
some stories recently that are not unlike this story.
This film, yeah. And it's, yeah, I mean, honestly, being in the presence of of Alex and having such a great script is like the bedrock first. And then, you know, Theo and Archie are like the Jordan and Pippen of this film. It's such, honestly, like really incredible to just watch them in the process and how much they care and how much they'll take risks in stopping things and saying, wait, like, let's slow down, let's really like take a huddle to analyze these characters' motives and what's really driving them. So I tried to take as much, you know, preciousness with Sweat, and I think that just led me to more and more like uncomfortable moments that honestly, you know, people ask like who's like the source material for Sweat, or like who are you watching, or what characters, and there's a couple like, you know, Training Day we've talked about, you know, Denzel, the way he like plays with Ethan Hawke's emotions, it's like, is he on his side, and then he's like bullying him, and then he's like, no, you're cool, and then, or like Joe Pesci and in the scene where he's like bullying him in Goodfellas, and he's like, what am I, a clown, and you don't know like how serious or not. So there's that, but for the most part, the source material for Sweat is like actual things that we've experienced that would be like spilling tea to to tell people about, and it's like uncomfortable moments that you have to like kind of draw upon.
Alex, and when you were writing this, in terms of like real moments that you've been collecting over the years, like, you know, as a writer, I'm sure there's many people in here also want to write, like, we're in LA. So like, how do, you know, I think a lot of mistakes that first-time writer-directors do is they so want to take what really happened and just be like, oh, I want to express exactly that. You know, you take all these moments and then you're filtering it into these like really incredible character dynamics, and there's, you know, that scene in the studio between Archie and Theo, like that feels like something you observed, but clearly you then put it through this filter that is specifically for the scene. Like, how do you go about that? Like, do you just like sit down and you're like, okay, I need to write a scene where like, you know, like, he's kind of turning the screws, maybe draw on some things that I've felt before, or is it just sort of organically come out, like the things that where you're drawing from real life?
That's a really good question. I mean, I feel like that is the balance that we're always talking about when we're like in a TV writer's room. It's like the specific and the point, right? What is the point you're trying to make? What are the things you're trying to explore? If you spent enough time in specifics, then you can earn like that recording studio scenes. Like, that's not, I've never been in that situation of watching that go down or whatever, but it's like once you spent enough time with these characters and you built, you know, enough of the world, it can get there. And you can, you know, that scene is all about these characters finally saying the things that have gone unspoken, and so much of this movie is about being fake with one another and like fake, like complimenting each other when you really want the other person to like. I'm just thinking about that scene where it's like, yeah, you're coming to London with us, right? And in the script, it's like he's setting up the GoPro, and in the script it says he's just like he's thinking about exactly how he would murder Jamie. And then it's just like, oh, we just see it in his face or whatever. But I want to get back to something you were talking about earlier, which is the improv. And like, obviously, Zach is like one of our great, you know, improv actors currently. But I will say that like everyone in the movie came up with stuff that is in the movie that wasn't in the script. Like in the recording studio, the I just wanted more was in the script, and then he's like, and I'm better, or whatever. Like that was just one take that you said that randomly. I was like, oh, that's in the movie. But I think there was like, it was sort of an 80-20 of, I think there'd be some times where, because like Zach is so naturalistic, that you'd be surprised that what he was saying actually was in the script. And kind of vice versa with some of the other actors. But I think there was sort of like an 80-20 of like,
feel like you were giving us like lines sometimes in between takes. Like you were coming up with funnier and funnier stuff as it was going. Like you were rewriting the scene a little bit.
We were doing alts. Yeah. And that's really a TV thing too. It's like, well, now that we're here, you know, this isn't as funny as I thought it would be on the page. But the answer is right here, right? Or it just needs to be a little quicker, it needs to be a little shorter.
Well, you know, as a first-time feature writer and director, would you say that, like, what aspects of your experience in TV, because you had worked on several shows prior to doing this movie, like, what aspects of TV do you think helped you in directing this film, and what sort of things do you have to kind of unlearn?
I think, I mean, the big difference is you're the one deciding on what it is at the end of the day, which is kind of like show running, where it's like, again, being a TV staff writer is like serving up ideas over and over again, and then you go home for the day, and the person running the show has to decide on if that actually was a good idea or not. So that's what directing the movie is ultimately. It's like, do you know, is it this color or that color, or do you spend 3 more seconds on that person's face? You know, all of these little decisions that really will keep you up at night if you care. Unlearn. I think the thing is you just really have to be flexible. And, you know, as we know, the amount of time that you have, if you have infinite time, it might not be the best thing for whatever it is. You might, if someone puts the pressure on you to figure something out in like 2 hours, then you're like, okay, well the simplest version of the scene is this. If I only have these options, I only have this amount of time and money, like, well, it has to be this, you know? So
you guys shot this very, very quickly, like, you know, it was in what, like 20 some days in LA. That restriction, that box you had to fit in, like, can you guys walk me through how, I mean, it feels like you had more time. I mean, like, there's so much, it feels like you guys were able to rehearse this, that you lived in this world, but clearly you had to really rush a lot of things. Like, how were you guys able, you've never worked, you've never worked with Alex before, it's first time relationship. How do you guys, like, just on day one hit the ground running? Like, were there a lot of phone calls prior? Are there a lot of, you know, like, how do you kind of prepare for a 20-some day shoot when you don't really know each other?
I don't know. I think it's very, what Alex did was probably very different from what I think. There's a whole production process that actors aren't part of course. I feel like, I mean, I don't want to just say that all the time, but it's really true. I feel like with really, really good writing, we all know what the story is. There's something very clear that we're making the same film. I think it becomes a bit blurry. We have to stop? No. Okay.
No one said that.
They have like a you gotta stop stance.
Where we're all kind of making the same film because it's so good and clear on the page, and I think that saves a lot of time and also brings the right people together. I think what gets like tricky when making films is that you have a script, and then some people think that that's the movie it should be made, and some people think that it's this movie, and then it becomes kind of a blur of different versions. So I didn't feel a huge need to kind of talk through scenes and analyze with Alex. I feel like it was on the page, and also I'd spent kind of 3 years before shooting with Alex, already exchanging books and talking sometimes and auditioning and stuff, so it's kind of already there. Was that a question?
I think it's like people underestimate the importance of casting. if you have two leads and you cast it wrong, if you cast one of them wrong, where you're forcing a performance or something like that, it's not just that it's worse, it's also that it'll take 20 times longer. Because every time you're shooting, you're trying to extract a performance to make it, to force it to place. In this case, I don't regret any of the cast. I think they're all exactly who they should be. And for that reason, we were able to move really fast. Like the first take would work. It wouldn't be like way off. It would be like, yeah, well that's the scene. Can we get something more interesting? Or do the opposite, or do variations, or do alts? And it was just, these were the people who were supposed to do it. And like on indie movies, you can't recast. You can't stop shooting for a week. TV, you could do that. But this was like, you have to thread the needle every single day. And if your cast is right, then it's like, the train is just moving. And I think all the decisions have been made before you get on set.
Yeah, some like good TV book writer was like casting's like, you know, like 90% of the equation, and I mean, yeah, incredible cast in this film. Last question for you guys. You know, I've you know, friends have seen the film, I've seen reviews. It seems like there's a lot of different interpretations of what the message of the movie is, and I'm curious, you know, I like for each of you, like what do you think is sort of like the main takeaway from this film? And we'll start with you and go this way.
Bad boy goes crazy.
That's the lesson. You have to talk
I hate that you did it now. Like answer got to be like sincere. Always does this. Skill's the funny one.
Did you already say this?
No, but like you just, you know, funny thing. We're gonna break it up. I mean, we kind of, I guess, talked about the idea that, like, for me personally, there is no specific, you know, like message that I take from it. It's more so like this movie feels like a very well done, very calculated, very well written, very well acted, almost like a rubric or like a litmus test or like a lexicon of these behaviors that just exist and I think haven't been like examined and discussed in this specific light by someone yet, you know, and my hope is that, you know, in the same way in the 2000s we could point someone out that's acting like a Regina George, you know what I mean? You could be like, yo, this is a very sweat behavior that I see in this person, or in myself, you know, like even in the process of like trying to become sweat, you know, I was like, you know, everybody wants to think that they're not a bully or that they've never been a bully. You know, that's not true though. So you have to dig up these moments where you were being that person and then climb into that, you know? So I think it's just like, it's such a cool, again, lexicon always comes up that like amongst our friends already, we're like, we could be more honest and more like call things out in the moment of like, this is some Maddie shit, bro. Like this is some, you know what I mean? Like this is some Lurker shit. Like let's stop, or just like be like honest about like, hey dude, I really want to get close to you because I want something. And like, that's not the craziest thing that you can say to someone. It's almost the reason, it's the exact reason why people moved to LA, but we try to act and pretend like it's not, and then it leads to all this weird behavior because we don't accept that. But if we just said it, if everybody just acted like the folks on Love on the Spectrum, none of this shit would happen. None of that, because you can call out behaviors to me, you just, hey bro, this is transactional. I don't even really like your music, but I'm trying to pipe up.
I'm not gonna say what the message is, but if there was one, it would be in the last 5 minutes of the movie. And I think it's more what it makes you think about at the end, you know, what it makes you think about that these characters both get exactly what they want, and they both have exactly what they want at the end of the movie. And to wonder what would maybe happen after the cut to credits that would be the place to look for any type of message.